What's up, board game people? You all are in for a treat today. Today we're going to unbox and poke around inside the huge Shadows of Brimstone Swamps of Death Revised Edition box. I'm going into this blind. I've been collecting Shadows of Brimstone sets for a bit, but I've never opened them, and I've never played. This game easily moves from casual crawler to full-fledged lifestyle game before you can blink, and I have the feeling that this is the beginning of a long and hopefully rewarding journey. Before I begin, let's get the warnings and asterisks out of the way. I contacted Flying Frog Productions, inquiring about the availability of their newest Kickstarter The Adventures set, so I could see if I could make some content with them. I wanted to buy a pledge, which it turns out was not possible at the time. Fair enough. They then asked if I'd be interested in making some content about some of their older sets, to which I said a hearty yes. So they sent me out this core box and a small hero expansion to get started. All they asked was that I make some videos. They had some excellent suggestions of content that hasn't really been done too much, but they gave me no rules with what I could do with what they sent. So, as always, all thoughts, opinions, comments, criticisms, and compliments are my own true feelings. I don't filter myself, and I won't be here. I didn't notice until I started the unboxing that they also sent a little extra taped to the lid. They sent 2 promo gear cards that look like they'll come in handy. So with all that out of the way, let's look at this beautiful box. Right off the bat, I absolutely love the artwork on the cover. The faces of the heroes show grit, fervor, fear, and determination to overcome the incredible onslaught of undead and otherworldly beings overtaking them. It's colorful, the title stands out, and the designer's credited on the box. An Old West horror board game for 1 to 4 players ages 12 and up. Right away, you get a bit of an idea of the horrors you'll be facing. This isn't the demonic gore overload that you might get in some games, but this cover takes itself just serious enough to convince me we're going to see some real tension on the tabletop. Also easily found is the revised edition branding at the bottom. They did revised editions for both Swamps of Death and the City of Ancients, their 2 original core sets. The product ID number also contains a -R for all the revised editions. Flipping it over and the good news just keeps coming. I love flipping boxes over to find so much information on the back. This calls back to an era that's quickly disappearing. Taking this box off the shelf, you'd immediately get a good picture of what the game is, what all's included in the box, and a good look at the quality of the miniatures and the components. For me, this takes me back to being a kid, eagerly reading the back of PC and PlayStation game boxes. This is something that really gets me excited to dig in and to play. Alright, enough yakking, let's get to the unboxing, shall we? So right off the bat, we get a fairly basic insert that could be used as an organizer for the cards, and there are a ton of cards in the box. And then we have all of our minis wrapped up nice and tight on their sprues. There's some assembly required for these miniatures, but we aren't talking Kingdom Death level, or even something like Marvel Crisis Protocol level assembly. It stays pretty basic with little to no guesswork as to where the pieces of the miniatures go. The bases are pretty solid bases. They aren't the cheap, generic dime a dozen bases you'll get with some board games. These are actually well made and sturdy. The sprues are separated just a bit, which should help with assembly, and the bases are marked with their size on the bottom, so there's no guessing what's a 30 or a 60mm base. The assembly instructions were very straightforward, and a perfect guide to getting everything put together. I've heard some of the minis could be a bit fiddly with Shadows of Brimstone, but I'm not seeing that with this revised core box. I wonder if what I've heard refers to the old original core sets, or perhaps some of the newer miniatures. The listed tools needed are clippers and plastic cement, which most everyone who has experience putting minis together should have lying around somewhere. Digging into the box, we have a Spring 2022 product catalog. Another nice nostalgic touch. You just don't see these much anymore. Next is the hero character sheets and the enemy record sheets. We'll take a closer look at all the components once we get through everything in the box. In the way of dice, we have a bag of generic D6s, a blue D8, and a custom yellow D6 that's the peril dice. Next in the box are the books. These are all marked as revised editions, so you won't be getting them mixed up if you happen to have any of the earlier core sets laying around. The adventure book has a good variety of content. There looks to be 6 missions per setting, some comic pages, and a paint guide. We'll take a closer look at the books in a future game preview video, but here are a few quick thoughts. The rulebook surprised me a bit. It's only 38 pages long. Honestly, I was expecting more, but I'm pleased it isn't longer. If you can fit everything you need into a manageable sized rulebook, that's always the way to go. I don't see an index, and sadly, I don't even think there's a table of contents for the rulebook. That for me is a con. I hate having to flip page to page in a rulebook to find the section I'm looking for, and with nothing to help me home in on the right page, I'm afraid that's going to be a problem here. Where the rulebook falls a bit flat, interestingly, the adventure book picks some of the slack up. It has a table of contents. It has a glossary of terms. It even has a short FAQ that should come in handy. There are more than a smattering of rules in the adventure book too, so if you feel the rulebook is a bit lacking, this should be the next place you look. Next up are some pretty cool reference cards. These cards are big and they cover town events, an injury chart, madness chart, what looks to be a town board, and then individual cards for each location in the frontier town. And then, way at the bottom of the insert, there's a total blast from the past. It's sad that this looks a bit vintage to me. A real physical game soundtrack CD. While greatly appreciated for helping set the mood, I honestly don't know if I have anything that plays CDs in the house. Maybe the Xbox or the PlayStation? I'll definitely have to find a way to check it out, and I'll let you know what I think in the game preview video for this one. Last in the insert, there's some beefy stacks of cards. They all seem to be mixed together, so we'll get this out and get them all organized and get some close-ups of the different card types here in just a bit. Now I was thinking maybe that was it, but the box was still far too heavy, and the bottom of the insert didn't really have any give to it, so sliding out the insert reveals quite a few punch boards. Suddenly, looking at all these tokens, I now see the challenges people are having keeping all this organized. The punch boards are primarily token and map tiles, with a few other game components mixed in, such as the depth track. The tiles and the tokens are double-sided, no blank backs here. The map tiles give you two flavors, the mines and the swamps on the back of each tile. So these are playing double duty, and the artwork on the tiles is all cohesive while still offering enough variety to keep the maps interesting. It also seems that they have end caps, so there shouldn't be a ton of awkward endings to tunnels or paths. As for packing it all back up, before punching all the tokens and tiles, and with a little bit of box Tetris, everything goes right back in with little issue. Now there seems to be plenty of room here for sleeved cards in the inserts, but I doubt you could fit the miniatures and punch tokens and tiles back in with any semblance of order. For me, storage will start with everything in Ziploc baggies, but I'm determined to find a better way. I've been looking around online for some inspiration, and while I still have quite a bit of digging to do, it seems most are turning to Plano boxes to help conquer the mess. And while I'm absolutely sure they can do the job quite well, down the line I want to find something a little more custom and unique to tackle this challenge. First, I need some actual time playing the game so I can see what is used and when, and how it's used. For me, the best game organization systems are intuitive and functional. If you can throw some theming on top, you have me sold. I'll be making several videos going over what I come up with, and in most cases, how you might be able to do the same for yourself. If you have some good solutions, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Now let's take a closer look at some of the samples of different card types, and the one oddity I found along the way. The cards, their layouts, and the artwork on them all look great. The font for the text on the cards is easily readable, and nothing gets too small to really have me squinting or having to pick up the cards just to read them. I love the theming across all the different card varieties. They really stuck to the pulp western theme well, and with all the embellishments, textures, even the colors are well thought through. The hero cards in particular are well laid out for their size. They have a good amount of information on them, wonderful art, and plenty of theming without looking too cluttered and becoming a mess. The backs of all the different types of cards help to keep them organized quickly and carry on the theming while also being unique to the type of card they belong to. It would have been easy to have a few different card backs and leave it at that, but their use of completely different art here helps set each individual card type apart from each other. Loot cards look like fun and look easy to digest at a glance, so hopefully you won't find yourself having to reread each piece of loot you're carrying while trying to find that perfect action during a turn. The decks that intrigued me the most were the map decks. I wonder how easily these cards are to use and to reference when trying to build out a map. This is something I'll definitely be paying attention to on my first playthrough. So the oddity I found with the cards was that the promo cards were cut slightly larger than the core set cards, so they stick out a little bit. This won't be an issue once I have them sleeved, but if you're not a sleever, this could be a problem. So wow, once you punch out and organize all of these tokens, you start to see the challenge it's going to be to keep all these organized and keep you from having to poke through piles of tokens to find the ones you're looking for. The tokens are numerous and there's a wide variety of them. They definitely created a token for every occasion. It'll be interesting to see how my collection of tokens grows over time. Sadly, my phone's camera doesn't really do the colors on the tokens justice. The colors are bold, and again, the text is easily readable across the table. All tokens are double-sided, as I said before, no blink backs, and some pull double duty, having one effector icon on the front and another on the back. I for one love to have tokens to help track all the minutiae on the game board. It's a lot harder for me to ignore tokens on a character sheet or laying next to my character's mini than it is to ignore cards that might be stacked on top of one another or just laying flat around the table. There's a wonderful selection of map tiles to build the mines and the swamps from. All the tiles are keyed and fit together effortlessly. I randomly threw together a few tiles so you can get an idea of what they look like connected together. I, however, don't know if this is actually how you'd go about assembling the map. I still have some rule reading to do, and that'll be topics for future videos. For now, I just enjoyed getting a closer look at the art and the tiles and seeing how cohesive it all is when put together. I love the contrast between the mine side of the tiles and the swamp side. This is going to be great to travel between the two and actually feel like you've entered another location or world. And finally, let's talk about the minis, because I went ahead and put them all together for this video so we could. Assembling the miniatures from the sprues was a piece of cake. Sure, I have a bit of experience, but these are assuredly on the easier side to assemble than some other games I've tackled. It took me maybe an hour to clip, sand, glue, and assemble all of the miniatures. If you aren't that fussed about cleaning them up as you go, you could absolutely do it faster. I was taking my time and watching YouTube videos while I worked. The miniatures themselves are great. They aren't the highest quality or the most detailed miniatures in my collection, but that wasn't what I was expecting. These miniatures fit the game to a T. They mesh very well with the art you see on the box, in the books, and on the cards and components. You don't need resin masterwork quality miniatures for every game you have. The miniatures need to fit the game itself. And for Shadows of Brimstone, mission accomplished. I didn't find any canyon-sized gaps when I put the miniatures together either. The sculpts in this core box are interesting, and there aren't so many repeats that it just looks like a lot of toy soldiers thrown in a box. The poses are good, and it looks like these minis will take paint nicely. There's enough detail here to work with, and none of them are just amalgamous blobs of plastic. I'll definitely be painting up some of these, if not all of them. Knowing that storage will be an issue for the miniatures, I decided to get ahead of the curve while putting them together. After assembling the minis, I put magnets in the bases, and I made a wonderful storage bin for them. This was simple to make and not that expensive, and I'm able to store way more minis in a single bin than is included in the entire core game box. So I'll definitely have some room for all the expansions I'm going to be adding to my collection. I'll have a video posted soon detailing how I put the box together so you can make one yourself if you like. I'm also selling boxes pre-assembled on my Etsy store, linked in the video description, if you'd like to get one without having to go through the fuss of making it yourself. Overall, I can say without a doubt the unboxing experience for Shadows of Brimstone, Swamps of Death Revised Edition was exactly what I was looking for. The box and the contents really sell you on the game itself. Poking through it and exploring the books and giant reference cards really gets me excited to sit down, learn the game, and begin my adventure. This is just the tip of the iceberg, too. The great thing about Shadows of Brimstone is that the core boxes give you everything you need to play, but they also provide an amazing framework to build from. The ease of adding expansions, enemy sets, mission packs, new heroes, and more is where I think Shadows of Brimstone really shines. There's some amazing minis, characters, and adventures you can add to your game. You can mix and match sets to your heart's content, and the game allows for it. This is just the beginning for me, and for my Shadows of Brimstone content. In future videos, I'll give you all my game preview for this core set, let you know my initial thoughts, and how I liked it after getting through a few missions. We'll look at the hero pack they sent me with this box, and then we're going to start branching out. We'll explore some of the Forbidden Fortress content and how it combines and meshes with the pulp western you're seeing here. I'll also keep you updated on my storage solutions, and with some deluxifications I'll be making for my collection along the way. For me, it's the promise of so many different worlds and environments coming together that really excites me about this game. I can't wait to see where the portal leads. If you happen to be watching this video in July of 2023, it's a great time to be checking out Shadows of Brimstone. They're about to launch their next Kickstarter for the game, bringing 2 new core sets to life. The Lost Tomb of Comatet will explore pulp adventure tropes in an Egyptian setting. Think Indiana Jones and The Mummy. Then the other core set, The Impossible Hell Train, will turn the game and its gameplay loop on its head as you board a speeding train made of delightfully twisted railcars speeding from world to world. Both settings sound like a blast, and Kickstarter is the place to get the best deals that will be available on the core set and especially the larger bundles. Plus, you get everything at once instead of scraping together your collection as they release in spurts for years to come. If you have any questions about the game, let me know. And if you're a Shadows of Brimstone veteran, I'd love to hear about your experiences in the comments or over on our Discord. If there's something about the game you'd like me to take a closer look at, I'm all ears. If you like this type of board game content, please consider subscribing to help our little channel grow and reach more gamers like yourself. Thanks to everyone watching, commenting, and supporting the channel. Have a great week, and if you're heading through a portal, watch that first step.